story, you guys. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel because this comes out of my home state of Maryland. I love it to pieces because it is all the things. It is all the things. So, Congressman David Trone. David Trone has been in Congress since 2019. David Trone is one of, I believe, the 20th richest members of Congress. His net worth is in the tens of millions. Okay. David Trone is seeking the Democratic nomination for the empty U.S. Senate seat. Okay. Now, in Maryland, because it is a deeply blue state, usually whoever wins the Democratic primary wins the whole shit, right? Because usually Republicans don't get no run. At least we know. I think there is only one Republican congressperson in the entire Maryland congressional delegation, and that's Representative Andy Harris, and he's an asshole. But you know what? They're all relative assholes in their own way. But regardless, okay. So anyway, so David Trone think he got the shit sewed up because David Trone is a rich motherfucker, and he has already spent over $20 million in ads, I would imagine, on his campaign. David Trone has been running campaign ads since the November 2023 election, of which he was not on the ballot. Okay. The Maryland primary happens in May. And this motherfucker's been running commercials since fucking October. He has spent so much money, right? Because he got it. And as a result, he was leading in the polls. But enter Larry Hogan, the once two-time Republican governor who left office on a high note. He had very high job approval from Marylanders. Relatively happy with Larry Hogan, I guess. But anyway, so Larry Hogan has kind of been bouncing around since leaving the governor's mansion, saying that he might run for president. He might run against Trump. Republicans shut that shit down. They're like, no, thank you, Larry. Nobody wants you. No, thank you. So Larry said, well, fuck it. I might as well get into the Senate race because ain't no other Republican viable versus the whoever the would be Democratic primary winner would be. And so David Trone was actually doing pretty well until a couple things happened this week. A Washington Post University of Maryland poll came out, of which I'm going to tell you the results here in just a second. Not looking as good for David Trone as he once thought. But David Trone, while, again, a current member of Congress, and as you guys know, Congress is trying to stave off a partial, government shutdown because these motherfuckers can't count and and don't know accounting and, are just all around trifling people. So they're trying to stave off a partial shutdown of the government because they haven't passed a budget. So during a House budget meeting, Trone was speaking as a businessman because, again, he is a wealthy person. He owns, I think, the Total Corridor wine and liquor joints. There's several of those in the DC, Maryland area. It's pretty nice. So we're going to pick up, let's cue up that TikTok, Will. We're going to pick up Congressman Trone mid-thought at a House budget hearing. And he's talking about, his confusion over the way that Republicans in Congress are calculating, business tax revenues, et cetera. He's talking a bunch of capitalist mumbo jumbo that I'm like, but he talks about, P&L law, profit and loss statements. So this is where we're going to pick David Trone up. And he utters a racial slur. A racial slur. A racial slur. And it's unmistakable. You'll hear it. So, Will, if we could, let's go to Capitol Hill and listen to Maryland Democrats David Trone in this clip.
And the tax rate, that's after the P&L. It's never, ever once been a consideration. So this Republican jigaboo that, it's a tax rate that's stopping business investment, it's just completely faulty by people who've never run a business. They've never been there. They have not a clue what they're talking about.
Well, it's a short enough clip. Can we run it again? And hold on, as you're queuing this up, David Trone didn't miss a step. He didn't miss a breath. He didn't hear it in his head and say, oh, that came out wrong. He didn't flinch. His facial expression didn't change.
He definitely He definitely says that after a couple of beers. He definitely says that after calling everybody a jigaboo. He probably called a cat a jigaboo. Goddamn jigaboo cat. Like, wait, that's yeah. All right, I'm gonna play the clip again.
Yeah,
Sorry.
play it again, play it again, play it again. Because I'm sorry, I'm not. When I tell y'all I laughed for 5 consecutive minutes, maybe I got all my laughs out. Maybe I didn't. But maybe I think that's why I want to see it again. Will, run the tape, please.
And the tax rate, that's after the P&L. It's never, ever once been a consideration. So this Republican jigaboo that, it's a tax rate that's stopping business investment, it's just completely faulty by people who've never run a business. They've never been there. They have not a clue what they're talking about.
So, Congressman Trone has released a statement, deeply apologetic, blah, blah, blah. I believe his office said that the word that he meant to say was bugaboo. This Republican, a bugaboo. But he said jigaboo. And it wasn't until just before we went live here this evening that I realized I actually don't know what the proper definition of jigaboo is. I am aware that it is an anti-black racial slur. Yes. But what is it specifically, right? Because like shit like pickaninny, like that's a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like that's an actual noun, right? So I'm assuming jigaboo is some sort of specific anti-black racial slur, but though I don't know what it is. Though I will say, as many times as I have been called a nigga by white folks, and not in the friendly way, not like what's up my nigga, okay? Like white folks have called me nigga with the hard R at the end. I must say, I have never been called a jigaboo. I've never been called a jigaboo. And honestly, I feel like jigaboo, it might be something that black people call each other, but I'm certain that was always not the case. There was a point in this country's probably somewhat recent history in which white folks felt very comfortable calling black folks jigaboos, and they did not mean it in a cuddly way.
I just looked it up. Kim, ain't no definition. it says slur. That's it. That's the definition. Slur. It says what is it? Extremely disparaging, offensive, and a contemptuous term used to refer to a black person. That means we don't know.
So look up pickaninny. Look up pickaninny because
Pickaninny. All right.
I think pickaninny is means something, right? Like pickaninny. Fuck. See, this is why we have to remember. we have to. We never forget.
Could you give me a spelling on pickaninny?
Ooh, let's see. Pickaninny. Let's see. I'm gonna say either PICK or PIK. ANNY. Ninny, NINNY,
Okay,
Pickaninny,
got one.
PICKA.
A
What you got?
small black child. Yeah, these don't have really they're they usually like there's no meaning behind them. They really just call us these things like, oh, that's just Tyler over there. They
Why say my son though? Why is that?
I'm not specifically that Tyler, but I'm just like, yo, they using it regular, like boy over there. Like, oh, okay, that just
Hey, get them pickaninnies. Tell them little pickaninnies to get out my yard. Oh Lord. Ah, I could hear it. Oh, I felt all that shit just came up in my DNA. I had a flashback, genetic flashback. I was like,
oh
oh
wow.
shit.
It rolled off the tongue too well. Yeah, that's true. Let me get
Shit.
off here.
Thank you, Will. I appreciate that. Everybody. So, Jigaboo. I'm sorry. Okay, hold on. Hold on. I know y'all like Kim. Why? Why does white people being racist tickle you so? Because because it does. Especially from these fake ass liberals who swear to God that they not racist. And let me bring y'all up to speed here about David Trone. Okay. Now again, I don't know much about David Trone. And apparently the majority of Marylanders also do not know much about David Trone in this poll that we're going to get to, not yet, Will, but The results of this recent Washington Post University of Maryland polls indicates that this Senate race is wide the fuck open, okay? And David Trone was trying to lay a little bit of a foundation for himself with this media blitz. When I tell you that David Trone has about 15 fucking commercials in rotation, and here we are in March, November, December, January, February. This nigga's been running commercials for almost half a fucking year, y'all. It's crazy. And I want to play a couple of these commercials for y'all, just to show y'all that David Trone is trying to absolutely reach out to Black Marylanders and trying to shore up that Black Maryland vote. Maryland is what, 30% Black? There's a lot of Black folks here, especially in Central Maryland. Now, really quick, David Trone, I believe, represents Maryland's first congressional district. If we have some Maryland political experts in the chat, feel free to make yourselves known. But I'm pretty sure he represents Maryland's first district, which covers parts of upper Montgomery County and then up into Frederick County. And then it covers like the western panhandle of Maryland, which is it's very wide. It's not exclusively wide, but it is very wide. It's very conservative. That is absolutely Trump country out there. Okay. And that's his district. So it's not a lot of Black people in David Trone's congressional district, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't understand that he needs those Black votes from Prince George's County. He needs those Black votes from Baltimore City. And it is a formidable voting block of folks, right? And usually they vote Democrat. That's usually not going to be a problem. But anyway, just to give you some idea of the headway that David Trone has already made in his race, I would like to play you. We'll cue up the one from Hakeem Jeffries, the number one Democrat in the House. If the Democrats regain the majority in the House of Representatives, Hakeem Jeffries will be the Speaker of the House. And Hakeem Jeffries, oh, wait. Before I get into Hakeem Jeffries, let me also mention who is opposing David Trone in the Democratic primary for the U.S. Senate. He's being challenged by a Black woman named Angela Also Brooks, who is the county executive for Prince George's County, where I live. So that is notable to note, as Hakeem Jeffries jumps over the Black woman to endorse the rich, wealthy businessman who is so far, I think, a 1 or 2 term congressman. So here is the endorsement ad ran by the Trone Senate campaign featuring, you're not going to see Hakeem Jeffries, but featuring Hakeem Jeffries' endorsement. Play and pay close attention, everybody.
Future Democratic Speaker of the House, Hakeem Jeffries, has endorsed David Trone for the way he served the people of Maryland. So here's Marylanders reading the endorsement.
David Trone has been a consistent and valued partner
to fix our broken criminal justice system,
eliminate barriers for returning citizens,
and root out systemic racism.
And he's worked hard
to create new manufacturing and tech jobs
in the parts of Maryland too often left behind.
Signed, Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
I'm David Trone, and I approve this message.
See, there goes some of David Trone's Black friends. Now, here's the funny thing about the Black misleadership, right? Like, they will easily freeze out each other or stab each other in the back or not acknowledge each other to cozy up to a wealthy white, right? But it's like, this is how the Black misleadership ends up embarrassing itself because, sir, you have Hakeem Jeffries, that is, you have endorsed a candidate that has freely used a racial slur in the middle of a house session. Way to go, Hakeem Jeffries. But I also want to show you another commercial, and this is not, trust me, David Trone ain't bought no airtime over here, and now I feel like a goofy that I'm about to show y'all two David Trone commercials. But I'm trying to show y'all that David Trone, at least from his media campaign, is definitely trying to outreach to Black voters that maybe he calls jigaboo when nobody's around. Now, Will got me thinking that David Trone has a Black cat in his house, and the cat is named Jigaboo. So that's how the fuck. That is how Jigaboo was right here, like right above his eyebrows. Like the Jigaboo was right in the front of his mind. That's how, I was thinking about the cat Jigaboo. God damn it. Anyway, but I will say this, and also for transparency purposes, I have not made, well, listen, my dumbass, I'm about to tell y'all that I have not made a decision as to who I would vote for in the Democratic primary. But every election, my dumbass keeps forgetting that I'm a registered independent in the state of Maryland. Therefore, I cannot participate in the Democratic primary. So then I always end up feeling goofy myself for paying such close attention to the Democratic primary. Some shit I can't even participate in because the Democrats got this state on lock, and we do not have an open primary system here in the state of Maryland, which is bogus and it's bullshit. But anywho, what I will say about David Trone, jigaboo comment notwithstanding, we might have to play that again because I find it so hilarious. The ad that we're about to show, I don't think I've ever seen a politician reach out directly to returning citizens, to formerly incarcerated folks. I don't know if I can recall seeing a political ad for a statewide office. And maybe I'm memory holding it, and maybe I smoke a lot of weed, and maybe I'm getting older and I can't remember shit. All very possible. But when I saw the returning citizens featured in this David Trone for Senate commercial, and I heard their accents, a combination of Baltimore accents, combination of PG County, DC area accents, I said, this is actually good strategy. This is a good demographic to appeal to. So anyway, I just wanted to share this with y'all. Well, let's run that Trone returning home commercial, please.
For 27 years, I was incarcerated.
Prison was very dehumanizing.
I knew if I built myself with information, that's something to be proud of.
The man will never change until the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of change.
Thanks to Congressman Trone, the Second Chance Act was passed.
I was part of the pilot programs, had me feeling like a student and not a prisoner. It just kind of like melted the barbed wire fences away.
I had a 3.8 GPA.
I was a straight A student.
A person who receives a college degree while incarcerated is less likely to come back to prison.
I know when David was a businessman, he helped to ban the box and give recently incarcerated people a job. I think he sees everyone as human beings.
Once I realized I was going home,
I think David believes in second chances.
I'm David Trone, and I approve this message.
Whoo! That part of the commercial where the brother says, once I knew I was coming home, and then he can't finish the sentence because he's so emotional. I almost got choked up again watching that, because I think the first time I did see that commercial, like that part did choke me up, like, oh god damn. Ooh, them brothers been locked down for so long under some horrific conditions, possibly under some horrific reasons in the first place. So for David Trone to even acknowledge the population of, formerly incarcerated folks, I thought that was a good sign. I was pretty positive. I saw, is David Trone good white folks out here? Who can really say? So let me ask you guys this. I mean, does the slip of the tongue does the slip of the tongue simply disqualify, somebody from serious contention for, let's say a Senate seat? I'm gonna ask y'all this question. I'm gonna go to the chat. Will.
One strike you out, buddy. Sorry.
Will, but what if the alternative is Larry Hogan? Donald Trump has said that he would. Listen, hold on. Let me ask you this. So David, goddamn, I'm getting all my whites confused. Donald Trump said this week that he would go along with a 15-week federal ban on abortions if he were to be elected to the White House. Right now, hopefully a Senate. We don't need senators from Maryland voting in favor of that shit, and I'm not sure Larry Hogan would vote against it, right? So I mean, he don't think everybody's a jigaboo. David, just the cat. That's what he should say. No, where is his PR person? But then people are going to ask, why'd you name the cat Jigaboo?
has a black face. It's a black furred face. Everything else is white.
That's not the answer. That ain't the answer.
Little bow tie.
I mean, Will, what are we gonna do? I mean, Angela also Brooks is a pro cop Democrat. You feel me? Like, and to David Trone's credit, he has not yet run a cop commercial. He's run a fuck ton of commercials with the returning citizens. He's got one with Latinos in it. He's got one with the teachers in it. Like he's got a union members, the Teamsters. Like he's got a nice rotation of commercials. Not one coming from the FOP. And that's another reason I'm like, But Angela also Brooks is a pro cop Democrat.
Yeah, get the crow cops out of here. I mean, I hear you. I guess we are, you need to send a check because you just endorse.
But I can't endorse him because he just dropping jigaboo in the middle of the House committee. I can't endorse him.
Get called a jigaboo or recidivism. Like which one you want?
But why all right, now I have to go to the white viewers. White viewers, why do white folks put us in these in these impossible situations? I am so tired. Now listen, you guys know I have lots of issues with the blackness leadership. I don't have not near a problem airing them niggas out, calling them niggas out, dragging them niggas, whatever. But god damn it, white people, it always comes back. It always comes back to the whites putting us in some impossible situations. So what do we do? What do y'all suggest that voters in Maryland do for our would-be empty Senate seat, which could be quite consequential as the slim Democratic majority, could grow ever slimmer if reliably blue Maryland sends a Republican to the fucking Senate. So it's either Larry fucking Hogan, who, might I remind y'all, never missed an opportunity to shit on and or kick Baltimore City every chance he got, right, as governor. I mean, just really, ultimately horrific his policies were towards Baltimore, right? And not great policies statewide. But again, as I've told y'all before, why a political neophyte like Wes Moore, someone who's never ever held any political office, why would he be elected to such a statewide office, the most powerful statewide office in the state of Maryland? Because it's hard to fuck it up. You understand? Like Maryland's economy, that is, relies so heavily on the federal government and its proximity to Washington, D.C. There's always money going to be in the state. Like, you have to really be a real fucking idiot to fuck this shit up. So anyway, jury's still out about Wes Moore, but back to Larry Hogan. Larry Hogan, an asshole, yes. An idiot, maybe not. He didn't fuck it up, right? He didn't do some great shit, but ultimately he did not fuck it up. So anyway, Larry Hogan, well, if you could please pull up that post-UMD poll, please and thank you. So this week, the same week that David Trone decided to drop Jigaboo, it came out this week. We don't really get that many statewide polls. Post University of Maryland, I think Goucher College does some polls. But anyway, this is the Washington Post University of Maryland poll. Indeed shows that right now, Republican Larry Hogan, former governor, is leading both David Trone and Angela Also Brooks in the polls, and leading them by double digits. The poll was pretty revealing. It goes on to observe correctly that most Marylanders don't know who David Trone or Angela Also Brooks are. Like, these guys are new to the game. Angela Also Brooks, I think, is in her second term as Prince George's County executive, and as the PG County executive, you don't have a statewide profile. You rep PG County, right? And a lot of times in Maryland, most people who do not live in the DC area, like, don't come to PG. Like, Will don't ever bring his ass from Baltimore down to PG, except when he passing through. like it's wild, y'all. Like, people from Baltimore don't come down here a whole lot, and people from PG don't really go up in Baltimore a whole lot. It's really weird. But anyway, so No one knows who the fuck Angela also Brooks is outside of the national capital region, right? So the Baltimore folks don't know who she is. And again, I told y'all, David Trone kind of represents bumfuck in Maryland. No disrespect to the Panhandle. Shout out to Hagerstown, Frederick. But nobody knows who the fuck that nigga is. So Larry Hogan stands a chance. And the National Democratic Party ought to be a wee bit concerned because Maryland has sent a Democrat to the Senate, 2 Democrats to the Senate reliably. You guys, I would imagine for at least 50 years. This is going to be unprecedented. Maybe not unprecedented as in not ever, but definitely unprecedented as in this has not happened in at least maybe 2 generations, in which the potential for a Republican to be representing the state of Maryland in the Senate could be a possibility. And it is a very strong possibility. And unfortunately, Congressman Trone worsened his chances today or this week with that errant comment. Now, again, David Trone came back and said that he didn't even know what jigaboo meant. Well, apparently, nobody knows what jigaboo means because it's just meant as an anti-black slur, right? But so again, I ask my white friends, like, what do we do with this? And black people, what do we do with this? We cannot. I can't. If I could vote in this Democratic primary, could I pull the lever for a man who has jigaboo front of mind, despite the fact that he does or at least supports legislation that helps to broaden the skills and make life returning home simpler for people who are formerly incarcerated? Like, how do I judge him? Do I judge him solely on his policies? Do I judge him by his latent maybe maybe latent Northeast liberal white racism? Because there's a lot of that, right? And that's another reason I think I wanted to bring this comment to the fore, because I was even contemplating bringing out some of Joe Biden's greatest hits. And I don't mean President Joe Biden. I even don't mean Vice President Joe. I'm talking about Senator Joe Biden. Senator Joe Biden used to speak some of that anti-black shit with his chest. You know what I'm saying? You know, when he first was, I guess, approached with the idea of Barack Obama becoming president, you know, he gave that quintessential that white Northeast liberal, you know, racist, you know, pandering, that racist, you know, oh, well, he's very clean, very smart, you know, he speaks very well. Shit, is he a horse? You know what I mean? That's how I describe Bagheera. She's clean, she's smart, she speaks well. You know what I'm saying? Joe Biden was describing his inevitable boss, right? So anyway, this is the kind of weirdo shit that black people who live in this region of the world. And again, are there more overt racists? Absolutely. there are racist whites in the Mid-Atlantic and in the Northeast who will say and scream that racist shit with their whole fucking chest. And then you got these Bamas like a David Trone or even like a Larry Hogan, who's another kind of Joe Biden. You know what I'm saying? These Bamas, they're of an era. I guess they still came from segregation and shit on some level. Yeah. So I know they possibly and likely still hold views of inferiority about black people and about black communities, though they've had enough experience around black people that they're not uncomfortable, right? Like, they're not scared of black people. I don't think they could go up in the. Well, they're not scared of the bougies anyway. But maybe David Trone's not even scared of formerly incarcerated people. Maybe he's gone out there and actually got mixed it up with the folks. I'm not sure. But I don't end this segment with any answers, right? In terms of what does it say about David Trone? If he called somebody a jigaboo, like he was looking at somebody black and he said jigaboo, I think that would be important for context. For him to say that he called, you know, this Republican idea of the tax rate, etc., a Republican jigaboo when he meant to say bugaboo, maybe to me it's an example of, maybe not do so much when we freestyling, when we doing our extemporaneous speaking, Congressman. Let's be a little bit more mindful of using words that we don't actually know the meanings to. I don't know. I ain't got the answer, Sway. But what I do know is that David Trone has absolutely put his chances for victory in jeopardy. And the chance that Larry Hogan, a not good person, with not great policies, who, by the way, let me say this about Larry Hogan, because I remember when Larry Hogan was first elected, a friend of mine from New York said, "Is he going to try to attack abortion rights?" And my response to my friend in New York was, "Oh no, he ain't crazy." Oh no, 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 he's definitely a cracker. And he's a Republican, but this nigga ain't crazy. Abortion access is fundamental here in Maryland. And Larry Hogan, even as a so-called conservative and as a Republican, never tried to ban abortion or limit when people seeking abortion care could access abortion in the state of Maryland. Now, what he did do towards the end of his second term, the Maryland General Assembly had designated funding for expanding abortion access, meaning increasing training for, I think was it doulas or midwives or so, increasing training for other people, other practitioners to be able to provide abortion care. And Larry Hogan refused to allocate those funds. He refused to disperse them. The money was just sitting there, and he refused to disperse it. But that's about as far as he went with his anti-abortion, activism from the governor's mansion. So anyway, you guys, this shit in Maryland could get uglier before it gets prettier, and I just wanted to bring it to your attention because the if the institution is going to crumble, and apparently it's going to crumble from the inside, and it appears as though white folks are going to take themselves out. I don't know. Politically that is. I don't know what's happening. It's like there's a lot of unforced errors happening out here, and I remain in confusion. So we will revisit this as this saga goes onward. So there is that.